So this is the story of my Music Man Big Al 5 bass guitar. I bought this bass back in, I think 2011, in Hong Kong at Tom Lee Music. That's a really well-known music store if you're from Asia. This thing, I fell in love first with the design of it, and then when I played it, I just fell in love with the sound as well. So why did I buy this thing? I was living in Shanghai, a full-time musician, and I started to break into the pop scene. I was starting to play with pop singers from Hong Kong and mainland China. And those singers sang, songs and keys like E flat, D flat, B. So I needed to have a low B string to accommodate. So I had to get I begrudgingly had to get a 5-string. I always played 4-string. So I first fell in love with the design of this thing. Music Man, these were new. They had a few new lines out. This is a new one. And I just caught my eye. I'm like, damn, this thing looks sweet. It's kind of got that old school vibe, but there's some new school things as well happening. And I needed a higher end bass. So a buddy of mine was in Hong Kong. He told me they actually had one, for sale, a new one on the show floor. So I flew down from Shanghai to Hong Kong, stayed with some friends, had fun, and I bought this thing. I loved it. I had to get used to the extra B string. It took a while. I always played 5-string or 4-string upright bass and bass guitar, so I had to shed on it. But then it just got to be so comfortable playing across the neck as opposed to up and down it. It's really light. It's active or passive. I usually use it passive. And if you have this bass, you kind of fall into your favorite settings. I fell into my favorite settings, but there's a lot of possibilities, and there's more to explore. These stack knobs, and I added this knob because when I slapped the stock knob got in the way. But it feels super solid. It does everything I need. It just looks so damn cool too. I love it. It'd be fun to get a 4-string version of this bass, the Big Al 5. But now they discontinued this model. Now they're collectible. Big Al, Albert Lee's a British guitar player, chicken picking, awesome guitarist. So they made a bass version. So there's also a guitar version of this, which looks just like this, but a guitar. There's maple neck configurations. This is the rosewood, and I'm happy with it. This is the only one they had. They had a few other Music Mans, of course, like different series and lines, but this is the only Big Al they had, and I'm happy it was one I liked because I had to have a 5-string for my job, and then B, I love the tortoise shell and like this gray charcoal was cool. Everything was awesome, And if the neck was maple, that would be cool as well. I'm not really picky about the necks, even though I kind of like maple now, but I'm totally happy with this. Do you have a Music Man Big Al 5? Leave me a comment. I'm curious to hear from other Big Al 5 owners. This thing, I've had so many gigs and tours with this thing. The only time I had one hiccup was I was playing with Karen Mok. She's a huge pop star in Hong Kong. I think I forget what city we're in. Anyhow, we're playing this show in front of thousands of people, and I go to mute my bass by hitting this. This is the passive and active switch. If you have no batteries in this becomes a mute button. You hit that and your bass is just muted. So I muted my bass during a quiet part, and then when I went to unmute it, this was kind of gunked because in China, you could smoke in bars. So I played this thing in many clubs, and it was kind of gunky. So when I went to unclick it, it stuck. And luckily, there was a roadie right next to me, like a stagehand, and I asked for pliers, and he gave me a set, and bam, and I popped it out. But other than that, this thing is it's fun to play. I readjusted the action last night because I haven't played this in a minute. So I'm kind of like re-falling in love with it. I'm going to do some shorts with it on YouTube where I plug it into an old school amp, see what happens. So this is my Big Al 5 Music Man bass. Do you got one?